How lovely to think that no one need wait a moment. We can start now, start slowly, changing the world. How lovely that everyone, great and small, can make a contribution toward introducing justice straight away. And you can always, always give something, even if it's only kindness. Anne Frank.
Welcome to Casa de Confidence,
A podcast for women
and some cool dudes
going in the direction of their dreams and the confidence it takes to reach them. I'm your host, Julie DeLucca-Collins.
and your sidekick, handsome hot husband. That again.
I am a dreamer, a traveler, a visionary, and risk taker. I am a lover of books, activist, philanthropist, and most of all, we are a supporter of people and their dreams. If you stumble into the casa for the first time, welcome. If you've been here before, we're so glad you're back. Grab your drink of choice, settle in, and make yourself at home.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another week of Casa de Confidence. This is Dan,
And Julie DeLucca-Collins.
and that's Julie. She is the wonderful, wonderful hostess with the mostest.
I wouldn't know about that.
I don't know why. I just like saying that.
I don't know, Dan. I
So-
don't know.
So I hope everyone had a great week. I hope everyone's doing well. We had snow today. It was a winter wonderland.
We didn't have snow. We had a slurpee of ice and coldness.
Well, it started out nice and pretty. Now it's just,
Yeah, it's a slush.
it's glop.
It's the slush out there.
Anyhow,
But you know what? I am grateful because this is going to make me appreciate spring so much more.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
I was actually
See what I did there? I didn't
What?
even mean icy. Icy?
I see. Oh,
Because
you're
it's
funny.
icy.
You're funny.
I didn't mean it. It just happened.
It just happened.
It
How
just
did
happened.
it just happen
I
with
said
you,
it
Daniel?
icy. I don't know. I'm just, I'm amazingly brilliant.
Interesting.
Let's
Listen
just,
to me. Today we're sitting here in our pajamas. So this is not a video introduction
No,
because you did not want to go on camera in your pajamas.
I did not. You did.
I didn't care. I mean, I'm not.
But I
wearing
wanted
makeup.
to, I did want to do, the intro for video for the people that are watching on YouTube because I want to do our guest justice. And, it's a snow day. We're in
Well,
our pajamas. And you know what?
justice is about the words you use, my love,
Well,
not about
well, all I want to
your
say,
Yeah.
is everyone here listening to the podcast, you're getting a special
Mm.
because you get all this extra stuff. Video is incredible. You get to see Julie and her guest, but you're going to miss out on me.
Well,
So stick with us today.
it would be very apropos for us to wear.
Apropos, is
yeah.
that a special way of saying appropriate?
Yeah, it's very apropos to
Fancy.
wear pajamas in this recording of this episode
Mhm.
because our guest today is the founder of Token Clothing and also Pajamas with a Purpose.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, hello. There's
Well, I
always a
don't-
reason for my madness.
Does she make pajamas?
She sure does.
Oh, well, why haven't you gotten me a pair of the pajamas she sells?
Because I don't think she makes them for giganto guys like you.
Are
No
you-
offense.
Did you just size shame me?
I did not size shame you. I
Oh.
stated a fact.
I'm feeling marginalized
Oh,
now.
well, listen, you're not the only person who's marginalized these days. Welcome to the club. So many people are being marginalized. But you know what? That's no reason to marginalize others. You're correct. So I take that back. I'm sorry, Dan. They do not make size for older, bigger, heavier. I don't even know. See, now you got me going.
Just keep going. I want to see how big of a hole you can dig.
They don't make guy pajamas, okay? If you want to wear the women pajamas, you can. And
Ooh,
you
I
can
can?
order some. And by the way, they're going to be a little tight and a little short on you. So more power to you if that's what you want to wear.
There's probably room for my man boobs, though.
And we're going off the rails. Oh, so
Yes, we
close to
are.
the beginning of this episode.
Mm.
Listen, our
Hey,
guest today,
it's a snow day.
it's a snow day.
It's fun.
She had the power to dream and the power to do, which is one of my favorite things to have as an individual coming to Casa de Confidence, someone that dreams it and does it. And by the way, that doesn't mean that the journey was easy. It doesn't mean that there weren't any challenges in between, but there was a lot of consistent action that got her traction. Now, do you know why her company is Pajama with a Purpose?
I do not.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. So,
I'm sure I would like to know, and everyone else would like to know.
okay, so
I'm sure there's a bunch of people who do know because,
well, she, Kimberly, our guest, she was a speech pathologist. See, I may even need her. And one of the things that she realized is that when we go about our day without self-compassion, self-love, then we tend to be in a day that may not be optimal, that may not be great. But how much more can our life change if our day is infused with self-love, self-compassion, self-confidence? And how would it change the lives of the people around you that you cared about? So she started a company because as a speech language pathologist who spent years studying the power of language, as a woman who spent decades to improve her mindset, Kimberly's love for design and beauty and a quest to help others see their worth was the foundation for merging everything and everything kind of intersecting. And she uses positive psychology research to create intelligent fashion. And basically, there is a positive affirmation in her pajamas. So then when you look at yourself, you're not seeing some raggedy old pajamas, but you can see things like, I am love, I am beautiful, things that can inspire you, but also inspire others around you. And the reality is that she's onto something. There is incredible benefits to positive language.
Cool. We need to see that little more positive message because, there's so many times where we hear a negative message and oftentimes it's coming from you, not you, but yourself.
Yeah. Well, the person, a lot of times our critic gets the best of us.
Yeah. We said this last week, you're your own biggest critic. And you know what? It's probably why we're not doing a video today, because I did like the way I looked at my camera.
There you go. And I'm the one not wearing makeup.
Well, geez. Well,
listen, positive language.
Maybe we need to cut this off and put the video on.
No, it's fine. Listen to me. Words, written or spoken, are the main way of communication for most people, while nonverbal signs are also part of communication. However, our facial expression also have an impact. And right? I think my facial expressions, anytime that we're having a conversation, kind of give me away. Now, why do you think positive language has an impact in our mood and well-being?
Why? I mean, I think psychologically positive language it's something that, well, if you use the positive language, it kind of reshapes it's kind of like exercising. You don't want to do it. You don't want to go, you're like, oh my gosh. But when you go to do it and you do it, then your body will come around and feel better after the aches and the pains, and you'll begin to start feeling better. So it's kind of doing that positive speech, positive imagery.
Yeah.
You know, it shapes you and molds you into a person, and that's a little more happy and a little more positive about the self. And that's what I think.
Yeah, and
Is
you're
that a
onto
good take?
something. You're onto something. Predominantly, the power of positive language is that it impacts our thoughts. And for many of us, we have over 60,000 thoughts a day, right? And 80% of these 60,000 thoughts are going to be negative. So it's very important to start to, even if we just pay attention to our negative self-talk, to the things that go through our brain. I was actually looking on Facebook today because it was somebody's birthday that I know, and I saw someone's post in the stories. I didn't even dig in to read anything, but I immediately had a negative thought, and I thought, how easy it is for us to be impacted. And then all of a sudden my thoughts started to go in this negative spiral. And we need to stop doing that. We need to stop allowing our thoughts to kind of hijack our mood. And that's what happens, because our thoughts create the feelings, and the feelings create the actions. And when we feel like crap because our thoughts are always in the dumpster, right? Then we're not going to create a positive impact in our lives or the lives of others around us, honestly.
I agree.
Again, I think that the other thing is that when we are using positive language, right, it provides the recipient with just an opportunity to also catch themselves or kind of reset themselves as well. And I know that for me, by the way, I'm not perfect. I have these spiraling thoughts, but negative language at times creates restrictive and limiting beliefs that perpetuate themselves. So can I look at examples of positive language?
Can you look at them?
Well, can I share some examples and how we can kind of reframe ourselves?
Are we giving away anything about your interview?
No, the interview is fantastic. And we talk a lot about gratitude. We talk about her journey and some of the impact that Kimberly's company is making in the lives of women who have been sex trafficked. We dig deep into that. But I want to kind of share a little bit of reframes for people, because sometimes we don't even notice what we're saying, but there's a way to reframe it. And this is something that has helped me in some ways in this journey. Can I share those, Daniel?
Sure. Let's share a couple of those, and then we'll get to the interview.
So negative language can be something as, I can't find this. And I think we say that a lot in this house.
Yeah. I can't find this.
I can't find it. I can't find it. How about the positive part of saying that would be, hey, let me look it up, or let's look for this thing, right? The other thing, believe it or not, saying no problem certainly is a negative connotation, because you're already saying that word problem, or certainly the word certainly, right? It immediately it's a positive.
Well, if Julie ever says no problem to you, there's a problem.
Oh my God. Really, Daniel?
If you're her husband.
Okay. Here's another thing. A lot of times people will say, oh my goodness, I'm sorry I'm late. However, we can turn that around to the positive and say, hey, thank you for waiting for me. A lot of times we'll apologize. And I see this a lot with my client and with women. We're always apologizing. I'm sorry I talked too much. I'm sorry I messed up. I'm sorry to be asking for a favor. I'm sorry to be so distant. I'm sorry I didn't call you. I hate feeling this way. This is too complicated. Where we can say, hey, thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for listening to me. Thank Thank you for helping me out. Again, as you're starting the sentence with thank you, you're already putting gratitude out there. So even though you may be saying, I kind of messed up, right? But you're already saying, I agree. I'm putting gratitude out into the world. I hate feeling this way. A lot of times also focuses on the uncertainty or these thoughts that run away telling us that we're not good enough, right? When we say it's too complicated, we're telling our brain I could never do that, as opposed to, you know what, I'm going to tackle this from a new angle. How can I do that? What is another way that I can see this? A lot of times when we talk about being terrible at something, we can remind ourselves that we are learning and that it's okay to be uncomfortable. Who was I telling that to yesterday? Was I telling that to you? Who was I talking to about being uncomfortable?
I don't listen.
Really? Wow. Okay. So did you not hear this whole conversation?
Say it again,
Daniel? I was just telling someone yesterday, I think it was yesterday, that we're going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
It wasn't you.
Because no, not. But yeah.
Anyway, it's uncomfortable. It's not fun. And anyhow, life is full of moments that make you uncomfortable. But positive language is going to support you in your positive mindset. It's going to support you in your growth mindset. And that's exactly what we need in this world right now. We need to be able to refrain.
Would you stretch your brain? Well,
what?
When you stretch your brain, add some more wrinkles to that dome. The wrinkles to your brain, whenever you're not actually adding wrinkles, but you understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
When you stretch your neuroplasticity,
there you go.
It's not comfortable, not always comfortable. And that's what helps you to become what you want to be and get you where you want to go.
Indeed.
Those are my gems.
Those are good gems, Daniel. Hey, by the way, I know that we need to get to our guest, but
yes, we do.
I did want to make an acknowledgement today. I want to dedicate this episode to a special someone in my life.
Yes.
Who has transitioned to not being in this world anymore. And I got the news that my dad's brother, Uncle Ruben DeLucca from New Jersey, has passed away. And it sort of numbed me when I got the news. And still, I think I'm sort of in this disconnection of it. My Uncle Ruben has been an incredible person and so influential in my teens and in my early 20s. And he was someone that his home was always the safe heaven to go to. His home was always, my dad traveled all over the world. He left New York at an early age. My uncle went into the service, but came back to New York, right? And that was the home that everybody knows, right? Everybody knows their telephone number is still the same since 1965. Their address hasn't changed. The house looks pretty much the same. And it's interesting that, again, he was suffering. He had a terrible journey with cancer. And this is the other reason that I wanted to talk about positive language, because even in the moments of grief where it's going to hurt, and for me, there is pain, but I'm not feeling it yet, right? Because I'm sort of in this disbelief era. I am confident that the more that we talk about the things that are painful, the more that we can normalize that we're not alone in this journey. We're all going to be in a spot where we lose people we love, where we say goodbye, even though we're not ready. And I want to dedicate this incredible episode because my Uncle Ruben was someone that used language to uplift and to love on people and to always have a kind, loving word for those around him. So that's all I got.
All right. So to Uncle Ruben.
To Uncle Ruben.
All right. So I hope you all enjoy this interview with Julie and Kimberly Wilkerson.
Have you ever wondered what you can do to help your mindset And as an entrepreneur, I know that a lot of times I have to have little notes to myself and read the right things and really, again, feed my brain things that remind me the power of my mindset in the things that I do. But there is a lot of power when it comes to communication and language. And our guest today definitely knows this. She has created powerful, intelligent fashion. And of course, she's going to talk a little bit about that because her personal journey with elevating her mindset and overcoming limitations influenced the transition from being someone that was a clinician as a speech language pathologist to a fashion entrepreneur. And she loves, excuse me, sharing how the power of language can impact every person. So let's welcome to the show, Kimberly Wilkerson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Julie. It is delightful to be here.
So, speech pathologist and now fashion entrepreneur.
Yeah,
That's a big difference. People see it from kind of the outsider perspective, but as someone that is in the entrepreneur world and understands the power of our mind, the power of what we think and what we believe, I see that there isn't that much of a stretch, but for individuals that are listening and maybe want to know how you got here, tell us a little bit about your journey.
sure. Thank you. So it's always fun to make connections, unlikely connections, even, right? I mean, I think that's how a lot of innovation happens is
Yeah.
you look at things just slightly different. So with me, I always loved science, and I actually was one of the weird kids who liked public speaking for whatever.
Me too. I was a weird kid.
Yeah. So I certainly understood, even at a younger age, the power of words, the power of being able to share words and make an impact. And as
Yeah.
I determined to go on to further schooling to become a speech language pathologist, I at that time had a desire to start a fashion company. And I didn't even know why. I really
Okay.
didn't. I didn't grow up as a girl who wore pink. I was
Mhm.
honestly more of a tomboy. Right now, I love pink, but I grew up again looking at science in way of goals and aspirations, and so it was almost surprising to me that I wanted this fashion company. At the same time, I had done a few things I think that prepared me for that.
Mhm.
And so sitting in graduate school, I would doodle notes in my margins of designs. The notes weren't very good because art is not one of my strengths. I'm not a great artist.
Yeah, that's
However,
me as well.
yeah, yeah. But I thought, you know what? One day I think I really want to do this. But I also knew I wanted to become a speech pathologist. And so I pursued that route for years and years, acquiring the acumen that I needed as a clinician in both hospital settings as well as school settings and other clinical settings. On the side, I was doing a little bit here and there with fashion. I was studying texture and color and design. I actually took some art lessons to try to get a little bit better at getting what was
Hmm.
in my mind onto paper, although I used words a whole lot as I to explain what I was trying to draw. And then there came the opportunity just back in 2021 where I determined that I needed to move forward in launching this company. It seemed like the right timing. I had done some other business ventures prior to that I feel laid a foundation, but in way of what I wanted to do with fashion, I felt it was the right time. And I had the opportunity actually to go down to the US Virgin Islands and be a speech pathologist, which I was excited about because I like to scuba dive and snorkel and I love the tropics. However, I also knew that if I did that, it would be great, but the trajectory of my life would be changed. And I just felt to move forward, despite everything that was happening in the world with COVID
Mhm.
and increased production costs, because that certainly happened. I thought, you've got to take this leap. So as I started brainstorming, because at that point, I did not know how I was going to merge. I mean, I had lots of different designs and notes from
Mhm.
years, but I did not know that until I started saying, hey, what do I want to do? And looking back at my notes, I'm like, there's so much language here. Yes, there's words because I'm trying to explain what I wrote. But when I would doodle, it would be all of these positive words or statements that I would
Mhm.
draw around pictures, etc. So I determined, because I didn't see it in the market, I want to take my expertise in communication and the neuroscience and the positive psychology data that surrounds that and
Yeah.
actually use that to do something that is going to benefit people in the industry of and the platform of fashion. And so that's how Token Clothing Company was born, essentially.
Amazing. Amazing. And I have to say, I like a little bit of what you said, right? You had this journey, there were a lot of different crossroads. And I think that for most of us, right, there's one choice, one thing that we kind of say, I'm going to go this way for now. And that really is defining in what we're doing. And for you, again, there were so many things you were putting in place to be able to prepare you to do what you're doing now, but also you decided to, take this path as opposed to that one. And what I love about the work that you're doing is that it continues to be very impactful for individuals. As a speech pathologist, I know that some of the work that you do is you're helping individuals that have problems communicating, build confidence and communicate more confidently. I have a niece that has had worked with a speech pathologist from a young age, and I know what a great difference it has made for her. And now you're helping individuals that maybe have problems, or I wouldn't say problems, but challenges in telling themselves the right language to feel more confident. You're giving them a tool that can enable them to not only say that to themselves, but grow in their confidence and also self-love and compassion, which a lot of times as women, we lack a lot of.
We do. And Julie, the interesting thing with that is that there's a lot of neuroscience research to
Mhm.
support those very terms: self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, self-forgiveness. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, we would have looked at that and kind of just brushed it aside as, oh, those are just feel good statements.
Mhm.
However, we now have the science to say, if you want to improve these things, we have to improve the speech, the self-talk
Mhm.
that is in us. And we can. And we see
Mhm.
the results. We can increase that self-confidence and that self-love and that self-compassion, which also means as we become a person who's more loving to ourselves and compassionate to ourselves, we're able then to be more loving and compassionate to others. I really believe that,
Agree.
right? And again, the science will support how the communication on the inside certainly transforms the communication in our interactions with others. And so being intentional with our
Mhm.
language on a daily basis, even hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute, depending upon that
Yeah.
situation, that will impact what's happening here in our brain, right?
Mhm.
It simply does. And what happens in our brain impacts our entire body and thus our entire system. And
Yeah.
the wonderful thing is that we have choice. We can choose not just what we're saying, but also
Mhm.
what we're listening to, because the
Agreed.
language around us also has impact physiologically on what's happening at the level of the brain.
Yeah. When I launched my business, and again, I've had for a long time. I've been in this personal development quest for myself,
Sure.
and I started to journal. Then I started to really use language, and I had a coach in particular. She taught me one thing, and I use that with my clients a lot, and that's there's 12 words that you try. And try is one of the words you avoid, right? Try, I can't, I won't, shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's hard because these type of words are the ones that are training our brains to, oh, I'm going to try. Well, no, you're not. Or it's, I wish I could, or it's very hard. Yeah, your brain's going to shut down when you're telling yourself that something is hard. But if you're telling yourself the right thing, like, well, it's a challenge, right? And this is and I remember when I started working with this coach, I started to implement this in my job with my team, and they hated me because I could not say, well, it's very hard that we're going to do that. No, it's not hard. It's a challenge. But that was our most profitable year to date. And then, of course, we became more profitable as a company. But I really equate that to allowing us as a team to start to explore different ways of doing things as opposed to just hitting a wall and saying, okay, we can't do that. But really setting our minds like that little computer that we all have to try to find the right answers and being willing to fail, right? It's a challenge. Well, we're not going to get it the first time around. We're going to
Right.
figure out ways of not doing it so that we can figure out ways of doing it.
Mhm. Right. And just that shift, I mean, you just gave a perfect example of the shift of mindset. We use that language, then how we feel and thus how we act shifts as well. And
Yeah.
so being able to shift that mindset and put challenges and things that we might not want to experience into perspective and be able to use those as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks.
Yeah, absolutely. I I continued my personal development journey and really again continuing to journal, and I do that now, but I can tell you that for me, on the times that I am not treating myself kindly, it really does affect my relationships, and it affects how I'm showing up in the world. Because we really are pouring from an empty cup. So for me, that has become such an important part. And by the way, if you're listening and you're thinking, oh, she's perfect, she does this every day, I don't. And it's something that I have to remind myself. But what are some things that are crucial when it comes to then reprogramming what we say to ourselves?
Sure. So I'm going to actually start with something I'm sure a lot of you listeners understand, but I cannot say enough about this, not just because of the research, but also what's said in philosophy, also what's said in scripture, also
Mhm.
energy around this. And that is the practice of gratitude. And
Mm,
very specific, right? About saying,
yeah,
I am those two powerful words.
so
I am
good.
thankful for. So I won't go through all the research, of course, but we know that when we do that, it shifts what is happening in our brain. It shifts our
Oh,
the way that we show up. It shifts how we
mhm,
feel, right? There's an energy that changes. So saying I am thankful and really meaning slowing down, looking at what you're thankful for, and
mhm.
then also saying that to a person, right?
Yeah,
Thankful for you, Julie, because dot dot dot.
yeah,
That
yeah.
also has significant importance
Mhm.
in the area of research when we're telling others that we're thankful for them. I mean, there's so many different strategies, but
Yeah.
that is one of the most powerful strategies that we can use.
I'm so glad you talked about that. And by the way, very apropos, and I didn't realize that I was doing that when I got dressed this morning, but I am wearing, so we had a guest, Dr. Peggy Long, and she has the gratitude bracelets
Love that.
that, and she started a gratitude practice while her fiance was in a hospital, terminally ill, and she was looking at her cup of coffee, hazelnut cup of coffee, and she looked at it and it was late at night, and she decided to feel very, very grateful for that cup of coffee.
Mhm.
And although she was in the middle of horrendous circumstances, losing someone she loved, and she was 18, 19, very young, she began to practice gratitude. And it was something that really created such an impact with her that now, as a psychiatrist, or psychologist rather, this is something that she really feels incredibly committed to. And I'm so glad that you talk about that because I am grateful for. We take for granted so many different things that are in front of us, and that we they're mundane, but if we start to notice the little things, it creates such a state of being able to see the big things as well.
Right. And it closes that gap that sometimes we
Mhm.
look at, right? Dr. Ben Hardy talks about this in a
Yeah.
couple of books, gap versus gain. And
I
especially as
love that book. It's
yeah,
back there
yeah,
behind me right now.
I'm sure it is. Of people who are seeking to do better, it is sometimes really easy to say, but I have this to do and I have this to do. And
Mhm.
why hasn't this happened? Instead of actually looking at what has happened and truly being
Yeah.
grateful for those things that have happened, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
allows our mind then to be in a place where we can move forward with greater energy, enthusiasm, and also to me the right frame of mind in seeking to help and bless others as we try to do more and show up better in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things too, and I love what you're talking about, the gap and the gain in that book. My other favorite book that I started my year with is The Power of the Future Self. I don't know if I'm even naming the book correctly, but that's one of the practices now that I've challenged not only myself but also the individuals who are part of my mastermind right now to come to our desk or a place where we're going to work for the day and really get into the energy of who we're going to become by embodying the gratefulness, embodying the person that has that energy that is going to be giving and putting out whatever it is into the world. And it's part of who we are, right? If I have a gift and that gift may be teaching someone, then really embody the teacher that is coming with the intention of helping others with what you're teaching. And at times we just take that for granted. If I'm going to be the teacher that has impacted the lives of 100 people in a year, then today when I come to my desk, I am that teacher today, and I want to embody that, because sometimes we take for granted our opportunities that we have on a daily basis.
Yeah. Molly, I love that. That's right.
Yeah.
We do need to show up with that right mindset so we are able to see the people around us that need our service and our help, and we're able to see how we can contribute. And the challenges will always be there. I wish they wouldn't sometimes, but they will be. So it's, what am I focusing on? In fact, I was out on an early morning walk and I had that thought. I'm like, all right, yes, you have these things that are a little bit challenging for you right now, but where is your focus? That focus needs beyond what we're grateful for, on the good, even focusing on being cheerful. I was thinking about that as well, as, Brendan Burchard talks about bring the joy. And I love that. Right? Like bring the joy, bring the cheer, no matter what. And you're going to find that things will simply work better for you, because again, everything is processing up here, that energy, but stuff happening in your brain is then transitioning to what happens in your life.
Yeah, everything begins really with our mind. And sometimes we don't realize that the results that we have are really because of where our thoughts may be hanging out. If our thoughts are in the gutter, if our thoughts are always thinking that I will never do, or I can't do that, or I won't, or this always happens to me, and people, whatever, right? Whatever you choose to say and believe, then that's going to create in you that feeling that then will result in your actions, that will get you the results in your life. And that was a big revelation for me, because I thought, I remember having this is another coach that I worked with early on. And she said, she didn't hurt your feelings. And I'm like, well, she was mean. Look at what she said. She's like, she didn't hurt your feelings. You're thinking, you're giving it power, what she said. But if you really believe that you are loved, if I'm looking at your shirt, if you really look at, I'm divine, I'm worthy, it doesn't matter what somebody else says.
That's right.
Right. And that's the place where many individuals, and again, all of us humans have that negative bias that kind of gets us going. Now, I look at your shirt and I look at those words, and I know that I'm a child of the 80s, 90s. I'm a Gen Xer. So, of course, I remember Saturday Night Live making fun of the skit, like, I am worthy, right? And then and then it's like, it made me like, oh my God, when I heard about affirmations, I'm like, that was the first thing that came to mind. And I felt so uncomfortable at a level, right? Like, I know the science, but I don't know if I could do this. So for the people who have never done that, who have never stood in front of the mirror and affirmed themselves or talked to themselves in a way that can be truly helpful to them so they can embody this, how do you suggest, or what are the things that people can do to begin?
Sure. Well, so there's actually a lot of suggestions, but one thing is like you're looking at, Julie, right? We created this IMTs line to be able to give women that opportunity to look in the mirror. If they don't want to say it out loud at first, okay. But to be able to read, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am loved, I am strong, I am divine. You'll notice as you read these words, I can also read them. This is designed purposely, so you're paying it forward as you interact. People also have an opportunity. And so being able, because I've been doing this for a while, and because I know when to create these clothes, we also have a pajamas with purpose line. And so often at night, I will place my hand on my heart, or even when I wake up in the morning, and feel those words, because they're on the inside of the pajamas. That is a true design, a choice. They're on the inside of those pajamas. And so I'm feeling the feels as I say those words, right? I am beautiful, I am loved, I am worthy. And that helps me lift my head off the pillow and start my day in a better way.
Yeah.
So as you read those words, as you have that close to your body,
Mhm.
as you repeat that, you're able to start to feel that. And that starts to
Mm.
have an effect on what happens.
Yeah. I love that. And by the way, I think that it's such a brilliant idea that you are not only seeing them, but as someone is reflecting to you, right? Then you're also there, you're also giving them the opportunity to see that for themselves. And sometimes we are reflecting to ourselves and we're so afraid to look in the mirror, but you're giving us a reason also to be able to remind ourselves, hey, girl in there, I like you. I want to even love you more. And
Yes.
all of that, right? That comes forth from that initial thought, right? If I'm loving myself, maybe I'm going to give myself a break at the end of the day. Or if I'm loving myself, I'm going to set a boundary. Or if I'm loving myself, I'm going to then remind myself why I started my business. And there's so many different things that this can stem from. Now, practically as a business owner, there's some challenges. What have been some of the challenges? Because you are a founder. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's several, so I'm going to be really specific. Certainly, with making a product more than a service that you offer,
Mhm.
there is a lot that goes into production. And so, as I mentioned, production costs actually went up 60% between prototyping and full production because we
That's
were
huge.
right after COVID and just things went wonky. And so, dealing with that and how you're going to price and how you're going to move forward and where the funds come and all of those pieces. That's just part of producing a product. It just happened to be at a really interesting time in our history
Yeah.
of the world and what was happening. So there's one thing. Another piece with product, and I'm sure the same as with services, but then deciding how you're going to get that product in front of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
How it's a great product. Lots
Mhm.
of people have great products, but how are you actually going to get it out so
Yeah.
the world knows about it? And
Mhm.
yes, there's social media, but that is really hard to try to make
Oh,
that. And so,
100%. I just had this
yeah,
conversation with somebody before you, Kimberly. So I'm so glad you're saying that because
yeah,
this person was doing a consult, and it's a guy who works for another group, and I do work with gentlemen. But I said, how are you getting this to people? And he said, well, I'm putting it in social media. And I said, really? Well, your social media followers are not customers necessarily.
that's right. That's
And he
right.
was blown away by this.
I know. And then how do you draw in when there's, 5 million other people on Instagram or whatever the
Mm.
number is? And so, even in the last couple of months, one thing that I thought about, because, and I know you understand this, Julie, we network a lot, right?
Yeah.
In business. We network a lot. And there's always people who I'm so grateful for that are willing to share ideas. Hey, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? I've noticed for probably the last year or so, as I've been listening to those expressions, which I am very grateful for, I have tried some of those things here and here. But I have I've had so many windows open. I've realized, Kimberly, you have to choose what you are really good at, one or two things, and then become even
Mm.
better at those things to create an audience and create the brand that you want. And so,
Yeah.
just in the last few weeks, I've been closing all those other doors gently, just pushing them to the side and saying, okay, what are your strengths? What are you going to
Mm.
do? And I think for myself, I finally understand what I need to do to move forward in being able to develop the audience that really wants to change who they are, wants to improve their mindset. And clothing is an incredible platform, but it's more than just clothes.
Yeah.
We actually just a week and a half ago introduced an interactive guided journal for teenage girls.
I saw that. The Journal
Yes,
of I
I
Am.
am. That's right. And so that was so fun because I'm like, I want to be able to reach more people than just adult women.
Mhm.
I do want to target teenage girls as well and give
Start
them.
them young, Kimberly.
That's right. It
Yeah.
really is. How can we teach our children to understand how to
Yeah.
think and be mindful of their language and then be intentional so they are able not just to get the outcomes they want, but to
Mhm.
create that habit that
Yeah.
will help them through their entire life.
Absolutely. I am always a big proponent, and I have nieces that are girls. My youngest niece is 11. And of course, she's already dealing with the things that we as women deal with, right? Rejection, mean girls, self-doubt, even at that age now. And by the way, she's very gifted. She's the one who's been with a speech pathologist for a while.
But yeah, we have to start creating these habits that they can become lifetime habits. And I so honor you for doing that. I think that this is such a beautiful gift that you're giving not only those young women that will have the journal, but their moms, because now, or their aunties, or their people in their life, because it's all about the ripple effect, which leads me to another thing that you do, and that's pajamas with a purpose. Tell me more about that.
Yes, thank you for asking because that's one of the things probably closest to my heart with my company. I always knew that I wanted a philanthropic side with anything that I did. And so with Pajamas with Purpose, we have partnered with Refuge for Women, which is the nation's largest long-term rehabilitation center for women who have been sex trafficked.
Wow.
And we have, you and I have, as well as other customers, have the opportunity to go to that page on the website
Mhm.
and read those women's hopes and dreams. We already know
Mm,
their situation has been horrific,
yeah.
but they still are fighters. They still have dreams. And so you're
Mhm.
able to read those, what they still want to do in this life. And then you have that opportunity to gift a pair of these beautiful pajamas to one of these women
Oh,
and
beautiful.
write a personal note. You type it out
Mhm.
within checkout place.
Mhm.
And on that, with that, you're able to give both the note and those pajamas. Token Clothing fulfills it and deliver it to that recipient.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for creating an impact in the lives of sometimes women that are receiving some help in this instance, but that's a very tangible thing that they can feel nurtured by somebody else, that the world did not forget about them, about what they went through. So
Right.
that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
It's so many things that you're doing now. I would be remiss if I didn't ask your future self, right? Because you're using that gain to propel you forward. You're not in that gap. You definitely are continuing to do things that not only create an impact in the lives of others, but for you, Kimberly, where's your future self going?
Ah, so many places. I would say beyond, right? I
Mhm.
certainly, with what I want to do, is to grow this company because I want more impact and I want it globally. And the fun thing about words is that we can put it into any foreign language we want,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
Which we do sell our teas in Espanol, which is super fun.
love
But
that.
I love as I find the markets and I'm able to collaborate to actually increase and grow that.
Hmm.
I am a huge proponent of helping women, which obviously you can tell from this company. But even beyond that, I have a passion and even passion project to not only help women with their language, but also help them perpetuate and
Mm,
magnify their talents in their own communities,
yeah.
specifically when it comes to those things important to women in relation to their families, to principles of freedom, to principles of things that make society
Mm,
much. And so my long-term goal, I outside of Token Clothing, is really to create a community of women, not
mhm,
just nationwide, but globally, who are seeking
mm.
those things in their society, in their communities that help nations and communities flourish. And to be able to create
Amazing.
a community that networks and is a sounding board for each other and provides resources and provides true solutions to some of the issues that we see in communities that are not flourishing. But where women want to get involved and become leaders and examples of what can happen.
I love it. As a proponent and someone that volunteers in several different organizations, I love this mission. I love the vision that you have. And I know that you already have done a lot of really great things. You took that concept and brought it to fruition. So I actually, as you're speaking, because this is how my mind works, I immediately started to think, Jessica Santander, and also there's a friend of the show. She's been on the show, and if you haven't listened to her show, she started a jewelry company with her mom, and she's phenomenal. But really, a mission driven. It's not just your same old kind of jewelry. And then there is, of course, Ring of Color. And our Melissa from Ring of Color, she started again with that mission to help women feel good and really through the power of what they're wearing, right? Whether it be makeup or whether it be jewelry or clothing to really empower them. So I think you guys need to connect and maybe do something. Maybe we'll have a special episode of Casa de Confidence before Christmas and have you guys on it, and we'll put it out there so that people can have some awareness. So we need to talk offline on that. I think that would be really fun. Kimberly, you've been incredibly gracious with your time. This has been such a fun time to talk to you. How do people find you? We're going to have your info in the show notes, but if you want to give us the website.
Absolutely. So that website is tokenclothingco.com. Again, tokenclothingco.com. And of course, all of our products are there. Links to social media is on that page. And I'd love to have you come. And I'll make sure to include in the show notes for podcasts. I always invite people. I leave a link so they can download if they want some free IM printables that are cute and fun and designed really fun.
Very fun. Thank you.
Type in I am whatever it is, right? I am courageous. I am brave. I am strong. I am beautiful. Whatever you need. You can type it in or you can print it off and write it in if you prefer that. And then you post that somewhere where you're going to see that statement every single day.
I love it. I am so grateful for you. And I am going to start to maybe figure something out that we can do between you three ladies, because I love your missions. I think that there's a lot of intersection, and I believe that collaboration is the way that we can go further together. I want to encourage the listeners. Here's a great takeaway. If you have a teen girl in your life, I encourage you, and even if you're maybe a teen at heart, maybe you want to start off with a journal or wear the t-shirt, wear it so that, again, you are wearing something with a purpose, that it's powerful, a reminder to yourself that you are so many different things that we take for granted, right? We are beautiful, we are becoming, we are worthy, all of these things. And again, maybe you're the cozy kind of girl. If you're in New England or like me or anywhere else that it's cold, maybe those pajamas are going to be, and by the way, I love pajamas because you have to have the nice soft things. And I can see that you've invested a lot of time into picking the right kind of material so that it's a cozy PJ. So go and get some affirmations and wear clothing with a purpose, not only that is making a difference for you in the language that you speak to yourself, but also that is making a difference in the lives of others who can use the continued affirmation and support from all of us, because we're in it together, my friends. And Kimberly, until next time, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Casa de Confidence podcast with Julie DeLucca-Collins. Remember to check her out on Instagram and Facebook, and always click subscribe to catch every new episode. Remember, leave a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And as always, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all, but the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business. Push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly Julie's Mastermind.